Okay, so my project is Fraction Bingo Boards. This game is intended to introduce the idea that fractions are a part of a whole and just to help the students visualize what fractions look like in situations that they would understand. I used pizza on these bingo boards because that's like something that students would see in their everyday lives and help them grasp the concept a little bit better. The game would be best for third graders because third grade is when fractions are first introduced in the curriculum. The Common Core standard for third graders says that they need to be able to understand that a fraction is formed when a whole is partitioned into equal parts, and visualizing the fractions will help them do this. Before playing this game, the students will have to have a little bit of an idea of what a fraction is and what it looks like, but this specific bingo board is still meant to be a pretty early introduction into fractions. This game can also be adapted into other grade levels, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But for now, basically we just have bingo boards. I have a few different variations, but you'll need more than I have when you're doing this in class, but they were really easy to make. You're also going to need some note cards that you have written what fractions are on the board, and then you're going to need something to mark with. I'm using Cheerios, but you can use like those little plastic discs or some candy or beans. It really doesn't matter. So we're going to start off. I'm going to flip these over and then make sure to put one on free. So the first one is 5/6. I'm going to put this in a separate pile. 5/6 is right here. And then the next one is 1/7. 1/7 is right here. 1/5. 1/5 is right here. Got 1. 1 is right here. 1/4. 1/4 is right here. 3/5. 3/5 is right here. 1/6. 1/6 is here. 3/4, and then 3/4 is here. So then we have bingo. One thing to keep in mind when you're doing these bingo games is to make sure that these cards that you've already called are in a separate pile. One, so that they don't get mixed into the other and it's confusing and you're calling them multiple times. But also because when someone calls bingo, you want to go through and check to make sure that the students are marking the correct ones and they're not confused about what fractions look like. There's a few things that I like about this activity. The first is that it can involve the whole class. The thing I got inspiration from was like a tic-tac-toe game, and I did not like that only like 2 students could play at a time. I wanted something that could involve the whole class. The other thing that I like about this game is that it can be like adapted for different grade levels. One way that you could adapt this game is to help the students practice adding fractions or like subtracting fractions. So for example, you could like take 2 cards, so 7/8 and 5/7, and you could have them add these together, and then the sum is what they mark on their bingo board. Just be careful with this one because it can get a little tricky, especially with cards like this where it's 8 and a 7 in the denominator, and that can be a little tricky to like represent on a bingo board. So for that, you might want smaller numbers. Another thing you could do to help adapt this game is to help teach equivalency. These specific bingo boards weren't really made for that because I thought it would be confusing to like pull a card and have 2 different things that you could mark off. But for example, you could like change your cards a little bit to have it say like 3/6, and then that would represent 1/2. But yeah, these are both really easy fixes and things that would be really easy to change to make the game for a higher grade level. And overall, I think that playing bingo is a great way to help the students understand that fractions are a part of a whole while still keeping the students engaged and excited to learn about math.